All right, as promised, we are here today with Pedro from Mobil.Werks. Pedro and I, our paths kind of interface, crossed, I guess. The car world sounds like a big world, but you find that everyone's actually much more closely related than they really are. And so I was really excited when I was speaking with Pedro and I said, hey, we've got this little interview thing going on. Would you mind coming on, chatting us a little bit about who you are, how you got to where you're at today, and then, of course, your business, which is very unique and very targeted towards a certain market segment. There's a pretty big void in that market. And so really excited to have you here today, and thanks for joining us. And give us the skinny. Let people know what makes you so special other than that beautiful salt and pepper hair.
Well, thanks, Jared. I started a business actually December of last year, kind of getting back to what I did before I got into racing, which I started in that in 1987.
What kind of racing?
I started in kind of helping a guy out initially at Formula V.
Oh.
Really old, VW's single make series, but it's kind of spec rules, so to speak. Helped him with that, and then got into on a team that raced Sports 2000, SCCA class. Outset, we were a manufacturer, actually. We took March Sports 2000, took that over, and they were branded Apache. And we raced those for a while till the cars weren't having that much success, and we ended up buying a Swift and a Lola. We raced those for a while. And this was all kind of funded by a millionaire and his son. We had a lot of fun. Eventually, I wanted to move up into Formula Atlantic, which, those were awesome cars.
So you've always been racing. It's who you are.
Yeah,
it's in your DNA.
Yep.
It doesn't leave you, does it? Once you have gasoline and motor oil in your veins.
I think it was. I was a car guy I had Hot Wheels and all that stuff.
Right.
Competitive part of it, and I want to build a car better than somebody else. I want to do that competition. I want to see if my car's better. That's what really led me to it. But I always enjoyed, working on street cars. I did some time in a Porsche restoration shop, really before I got into racing. My dad was a mechanic. We had a little foreign car shop in Georgia, and we worked on pretty much anything weird in the area.
So it's interesting. So I've always been car guy, but not really. My grandfather had some cars and stuff like that, but I was just born with it. Mm-hmm. I've just always been kind of borderline obsessed with cars, right? So, being the son of a mechanic, how have you seen things change from when your dad was working on stuff? I assume just keeping things operational to where now you're still keeping things operational, but with your business, it's more of a specialized thing where a lot of these cars have gained a lot of value, or it's changed from a day when we were just keeping things going to now you're curating history.
Obviously the cars, some of these things have gotten very valuable. Compared to, there's always the thing about having a time machine and going back and buying some of these things.
We wouldn't be sitting here today, brother.
I wouldn't have passed up that 356 I could have bought for $500.
Oh yeah. I have a famous story that anyone who's talked to me for more than 10 minutes realizes, has heard this story. But I had a chance to buy a Dino years and years ago, and I had a friend that told me, if you're gonna buy a car, like that, it's just a Dino. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. I had no idea. I had no business owning it to begin with. And now I sit back and I'm like, oh, man, what a missed opportunity, I don't, just that's par for the course, I guess. But, that's how that cookie crumbles.
I had an opportunity to buy it was a Mini Cooper, and the thing was awesome. 1275 Weber, race suspension. It was just an awesome car. And my sister convinced me you're not going to ever get a date in that car. I think considering the quality of the dates I did get, I should have bought the car. But I wish I'd been able to. I bought it and just enjoyed it for at least a while.
Right. Yeah.
And had the sense to keep it.
Yeah. But That's the power of youth, right?
Yep.
So throughout all of this, right? You've been steeped in racing lure, right? So you've raced in all these different circuits, and how long? And you worked with Gibbs Racing as well, right?
Yeah, I went from the Farm Atlantic that I mentioned to Newman Haas Racing, which I was there for 12 seasons, and I love that series.
Wow.
Back when we raced on street courses, road courses, speedways, short ovals. I mean, it was an awesome series. The cars at the time were late 90s, early 2000s. Those cars were unbelievable.
So same chassis, body, and everything, but you're just making adaptations for
Well, no,
whatever you're running.
I mean, at the time, they weren't spec like it is now.
Okay.
IndyCar is spec now, but
Right,
back then, there were several manufacturers. I was working for Newman Haas, and Carl was a Lola dealer, so we raced Lola. But then Swift, which I had worked on the Atlantic car before, they decided to get it into IndyCar, and then we helped develop the Swift IndyCar, 98, 99. And once again, that was interesting. I mean, great project.
Yeah.
Being involved in the development of a car, and we had quite a bit of success with it, but I guess it just wasn't financially. Some great success there. Won the 4 championships with Sebastian Bourdais at the end.
Really?
Yeah. Gibbs allowed me to do a lot of design work.
Mostly all self-taught.
Yeah. I went to had 2 years of junior college.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is.
And I dropped out to go racing. So, but I was lucky that I worked with a lot of very brilliant guys.
Yeah.
Very talented, very smart, and I wasn't scared to plagiarize them.
Right. Right.
And they were very generous, to teach me and answer questions when
Right.
I asked them. So yeah, I learned a lot.
So you're at Gibbs, and I know this through conversation, but so what's the catalyst for you to say, I'm going to start this whole new chapter?
I'm 62 years old. I've always loved the nuts and bolts and actually working on the car.
We can edit that out. 62. We can put 42. We can
that's
put
fine.
anything you want.
I'm proud I made it this long. the multiple times I tried to off myself,
We can do anything you want. Well, I can't. These guys back here, they can do
yeah.
anything.
No, I just got to the point that I just really loved the actual hands-on in the car, which I wasn't doing at Gibbs.
Right.
I was sitting at a desk a lot. And,
Yeah.
I'd help other guys put things together, but I wasn't that involved in it.
Right.
And I guess I just wanted to finish off kind of where I started, because I started working with my dad in a garage on old Porsches and Volkswagens and a lot of British cars, a lot of Triumphs and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just wanted the final chapter of my career, I guess, in automobiles to be doing that again.
Right.
And then I guess taking a shot at having my own business and seeing if I could do it. Had a lot of success in racing. I enjoyed the challenges, and I think I just wanted to challenge myself again.
Right.
Doing something.
Business will challenge you much like a race, right? You've got the right setup. Everything's, on paper cooperating, and then you go out there and you just fall flat on your face and you're like, what's going on here? But, diligence and perseverance. And, I find it really, interesting and admirable to have such a long-standing influence in motorsports. And then most people don't start up in their 60s something that's not foreign to them, but starting up a business and figuring out how to invoice people and how do you track your time and what's your market segment going to be. There's so many variables in there that you're in a business which is, I would assume, really hard for anyone to just go out there and create because of the type of work that you're doing.
Yeah. I think, like I say, I've been institutionalized for 40 or 50 years.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that I haven't had to worry about or take care of. Being part of race teams, there's people doing the books, there's people.
Right. Yeah.
And in some ways, like the schedule is set. Like I'm working towards a set schedule.
Yeah.
Like I know these races are coming up, I got to get the car done.
Yep.
Now it's a little more, I have to make decisions.
Yeah.
I have to schedule.
Yeah.
I have to keep myself, okay, this is my goal. before I had a set goal.
Yeah. If I were to ask you, so I'm somebody that, I'm just out here, I'm watching this video.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are watching this video, and I hope you love it. And if you do, you should be subscribing or liking or commenting on one of our haircuts. I mean, they're pretty good. So if I were to ask you, what is Mobil.Werks and what is your MacGuffin, right? So what is your, not mission statement, but what do you want the world to know about what Mobil.Werks is and your influence?
I wanted to take the skills I'd learned over all these years in racing, use that to help people with their old special interest cars, sports cars. I'm staying away from computers, so anything older generally than 90. More European stuff because that's what I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
I do a lot of 356, old Mercedes, which I own an 85 300 TD and an 85 500 SEC, which is those are my daily drivers. I guess the things that I've learned over the years on how to build a car, prepare a car, see problems, try to avoid problems, and just do a nice finish on a car for somebody that appreciates it.
Right.
And I just really enjoy, I guess it's the art of it,
Yeah.
taking something and making something nice that somebody can enjoy, and it's reliable, and it's moving sculpture.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's got its own voice. It's just something I just really enjoy doing.
Yeah, which is difficult in the world that we live in, with parts being readily available. But just because those parts are available doesn't mean they're good parts, right?
Yeah, that is part of it. I mean, trying to search out the good parts. But that said, I like the treasure hunt of it. I like to be able to. I like to find a thing that I can't find let's say I worked on a 49 Delahaye. I restored that for a few years. And I enjoyed the challenge of, where am I going to get the fuses for this thing?
Right, right.
And I couldn't find fuses, so I just made them.
Right, you made them?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, all right. That's cool.
And actually, Jeremy Minnemeyer.
Yeah.
That's how I met Jeremy.
Yeah, free plug, Jeremy.
Yep. That's how I met Jeremy, because I had made these fuses, and man, I need some of those fuses.
Yeah.
But I kind of enjoy that, like the searching and trying to figure out how something works and.
Right. The reverse engineering.
Yeah.
What's interesting, though, is your focus is on things that are a bit more analog, right?
Yeah.
But you're also marrying the analog lifestyle with more modern day technology to recreate some things, right? Which is pretty unique all in its own.
Yeah, and I think especially for the hobby now, collecting, restoring, the technologies help so much, and being able to manufacture and reproduce parts. I mean, I can't wait for 3D printing, especially aluminum, some of the other metals, to get a little more approachable, let's say, or easier to do.
Yeah.
It's still a bit expensive. I've designed quite a few aluminum parts, 3D aluminum parts, but that's something that I really want to be able to kind of put into the builds a little more on that stuff. So yeah, I'm not against using modern technology to restore some of the cool old cars that we used to have and used to see on the road.
Right. So what kind of cars are you working on today?
I'm doing a really cool 61 Aston Martin.
Oh.
DB4. It's going to be a really, really cool car. The owner's he's got a nice collection. He's got the funds to be able to afford it. He wants a really nice job. He's got a DB2, and then he's got some older Ferraris and that kind of thing, which I'm kind of interested in working on some of those, because I hadn't done much time with Ferraris. But
that must be a very gratifying feeling, right? That you have someone that has unique automobiles in terms of production numbers and stuff that are out there, and they're coming to you and they're saying, all right, Pedro, this is what I have. What could it be? What is it? What could it be? How do we get from A to B? And then you be so influential throughout that schedule of events. That's got to be that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited about the project. I'm doing a 230 SL for a gentleman, kind of a full suspension upgrade, transmission, engine. I'm building a 57 356, kind of an outlaw style. It's a bare steel patina look with a Type 4 VW.
Cool.
It'll be, for fun on the street type of thing.
Yeah.
And I've got quite a few other customers doing an Austin Cooper and a little bit newer car with a Porsche RS America, some suspension work.
Are you going to get a chance to work on that Cosworth over there? I know you worked on a gentleman's G-Wagon.
Oh, yeah.
And I keep on him about that.
We'll
keep you anonymous at this point in time, but I keep on working on him. I'm like, come on, man. I want to see that thing off the rack. Just want to see it off the rack.
Yeah, we talked about doing that. And he's got a Mercedes Coupe, 123 Coupe, which I have a 123 sedan, and I love those cars.
Yeah.
I'll do some work on his Coupe.
Yeah.
And I think some more work on his G-Wagon.
Yeah, which is awesome. And what a time capsule that thing is.
It is. It's such a nice.
It is cool, man. It is. I love that.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool about you know, so many of these vehicles. Everything's just so unique, right?
Yeah.
And so in speaking of,
and he's a unique individual. I mean,
yeah. Well, you know, face it. Most of the individuals that we're interfacing with in our service line are people that over the course of time have done well enough for themselves to be able to invest in unique property, in our world, cars, that a lot of them are either low production numbers or low mileage, or they're just rare, right? You know, you mentioned the Del A earlier, things that they're just not around. And so when you're dealing with those people, it's a very fine line because they, in their own regard, are craftsmen and usually very committed to quality, right? And so you almost always have to be perfect because perfection's what's expected.
Yep, and that's what I like with dealing with those kind of owners. I want to try to meet and exceed their expectation.
Right.
Yep.
You're not looking for business, you're looking for the right opportunities, right? The right cars.
Yeah, and I want the guy to look at the car and go, wow, that's cool.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And I imagine you're a lot like myself, and I tell people when they drop a car off, you know, with us at Merritt, it's my car. You know, you do own it, but like while it's in my care, while it's my canvas, right? And it's my picture that I'm painting, and while I will follow, you know, what it is the client's looking for, if I meet my own expectations, hopefully I supersede theirs.
Yeah, and you think, okay, what would I do with this if it was mine?
Right.
If I was fortunate enough to own this, how would I want it to look? And
and the answer is
what would
drive it. Drive it a lot.
Yep.
So we've covered a lot of cool stuff. Where you've been, where you're at, and you know something that was cool. So Miller and Casey, they're behind the camera, but you guys can wave to them if you want. They're the magic men here. We are out to lunch, and in true Jared fashion, I was 15 minutes late, and we roll in, and you're sitting here. And so, what did you drive up today?
Back a few years ago, I had a mutual friend introduced myself and Nico Venturuti. He's an Italian, he's in the executive aircraft industry, and he lives in South Charlotte, and he's got a 53 Porsche 356 Pre-A that he had bought many years ago in Los Angeles and had back in Italy for a while. I was in Poland for body work, and then came back to the States, and he was looking for someone to fix a few things on the car. In talking, he mentioned he wanted to do the Carrera Panamericana in Mexico. Yeah. And I said, well, I want to do that too. Let's talk about this. So
you too? Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So he's crazy enough to let me take this 53 Pre-A and turn it into a race rally car.
Yeah.
For Mexico. It turned out that the car had, some of the correct pieces that we needed as far as a C transmission, a later engine. The original engine transmission were long gone, so there wasn't these numbers matching, worry about the value.
Perfect. Right.
The car had some work done, so it was a good base to start this project. And so we first tried to do 22, but then let's do 23. We're going to do the race in 23. So he just let me do what needed to be done to make it a proper, reliable car. The deal was, I wasn't going to charge him for labor. He just buys the parts, supplies the car, pays the cost of doing the race, and we're just going to go have some fun. So we decided we're not going to do it with any support. We're just going to take everything with us.
In the car.
In the car, pack our clothes.
if it can't fit, it doesn't ship.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. 7 cities up the middle of Mexico. And you are running, I mean, you're hauling ass the whole time. And especially in the 356 with 80 horsepower.
Right. Yeah.
You're just
wide open.
You're
Yeah.
just you're just full on
All
the whole time.
beans, yeah.
But it was just unbelievable experience. I mean, the people were awesome. The country is just beautiful up the center. You go to these towns that many tourists don't go to.
Right.
And even the Chamber of Commerce from the towns of, please send people our
Right.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were absolutely beautiful. We'd be in these historic squares and churches and throngs of people. Being involved in racing for so many years, you're in that atmosphere, but you're kind of in the supporting cast, so to speak. You're part of the crew. I mean, you're in it, but
Right.
the driver is the one that's getting the limelight.
Right.
And in this case, I got to be like,
In that seat.
yeah, I'm signing autographs and
Right.
taking pictures.
Did you use your real name? Yeah. Okay.
And I speak Spanish, so I could communicate.
You could probably find one on eBay.
Yeah, I could communicate with the people. But it was such a great experience.
Same car? Or are you gonna?
No, I've got my own '68 Mercedes sedan. It's a 230, but I've got a 350 SL, 3.5 V8, and 4-speed, and just a bunch of other parts to
Right.
put something together. And my kids, I've got 2 girls and a boy. They're all adults now, but 2 of them are definitely interested in doing
Really?
it. So I might do it once and maybe twice
Right.
with them. So
Right.
I'm really looking forward to
Oh man.
sharing that experience with them.
Yeah. Like that's that's something that's on. As a parent, you never know if your kids are going to have
Yep.
your same general interests, and you don't want to impress your interests upon
Right,
your
right.
kids. Hey, you like what you like, But
Yep.
one of the coolest things, for me is I have this old truck, and I've owned and sold a lot of vehicles, and this old '69 Ford that's sitting outside the shop now, it's just kind of hung around us
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
And my kids have both. They're like. They think it's fast. They're young enough. They're like, "Oh wow, it's fast." The little 2-barrel. I got to run it with the choke out just to make it up hills.
Right.
And and you just you see that like little glimmer, in their eyes,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Man, that's cool." It's the next generation, and you don't know how
Yeah, I
you're
mean,
going to
it's
impress upon them.
Definitely an influence. I mean, I think I have a '68 230 because my dad had a '67
Right.
230,
Right?
and I just always loved the sound and the smell and the feel. And
Takes you right back to being a kid every time you smell
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah. And my sisters who remember riding in that car came up and rode in mine and go, God, this takes me back.
Right. That's what's great about
Yeah.
cars, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're at, what you're doing.
It's
That smell, that feel, that visceral experience.
It's the same
of what
effect
it
of
is.
music, that music
Sure.
can take you back to a certain time in your life,
Sure.
or give you memories. The cars do the same thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
So how can people find you?
Well, eventually I'll have a website live, but
Right. You're on Instagram though.
I'm
right?
on Instagram. Yeah.
I could drop you a line
Search
on Instagram.
Mobil.Werks on Instagram.
That way people can find you. And I really appreciate the time that you took today to stop by. And it's twofold for you because you're also going to help me with some direction on getting some studs out of Trent's 71
Yep.
911, which Trent, I know that hopefully by the time you see this, you're already driving down the road in the 911. But so again, I appreciate you coming by. If you guys want to learn more, you can visit his Instagram page until the website's up. And when the website is up, I'll make sure that we put it in the comments section. And if you guys like the format of today's video, how we did this and what we have going on, we appreciate any comments and subscriptions that you guys may want to plug into because we plan on doing this more and more. But in the meantime, I say we go look at this 356 you drove over here today.
Yep. Awesome.